Welcome, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to PSL on the Mic. We're in the studio today with Brad Keene, who's the acting director of our awesome Parks and Recreation Department. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
So we're talking about Parks and Recreation Month. It's in a couple days, July 1st.
That's correct.
And we wanted to bring you in to talk about our parks and our playgrounds. Mostly, we're going to focus on the fitness side with some stories and social media posts. So welcome.
Thank you.
We're very welcome. Great to have you here. I want to ask you, though, have you taken a breather? You had a big park and playground opening recently.
We did. The city did, and a lot of people were involved. And I think we're still in the midst of opening that park. Like with anything new, you buy a new car. The dealership will tell you all the buttons and whistles and how to do things, but they do it in 10 minutes when it takes you hours and hours and hours, if not days, to fully understand all the amenities of a new car. It's the same thing with a park.
Got that owner's manual open for hours.
Exactly. So we're learning how people use the parks and the new park, and some of the things that we can tweak along the way to make it a better experience for them, and more importantly, a better plan of operations for our staff, because we don't want to do things that are wasteful in terms of time or money.
Sure.
So we're still tweaking the new park.
Okay. And if you guys don't already know, that is Pioneer Park, which is located in the Port District. We had a grand opening, Port Fest, on June 15th. How do you feel about the grand opening? Tell us how it went and what we can expect there in the future. Because it's not done.
It's not complete. The park itself is not complete. The playground is completed, and we've opened for the public. But as far as June 15th went, what an amazing day.
Yeah.
It truly was. If you had seen or had the opportunity to see or talk to Kelly Boatwright and I Friday evening, you would have thought it would never happen, but a lot of people came together and pulled it off, and we were able to open as promised. Everything was in operation. Everything that was planned to be in operation was in operation. It worked, and it was just a tremendous day. We estimate well over 3,000 people attended the Port Fest throughout the day. That includes the concert that was held that night.
Which was amazing, by the way.
It really was. What an amazing setting. The stage, sitting on the event lawn with all the trees surrounding it, it just gave it a surreal experience.
Yeah, it was so different, too, because we're in the same place that River Nights took place, and will eventually this coming season, but it looked completely different.
Completely different.
It was so much fun, and they were amazing, awesome.
Yep.
I was going to leave after 30 minutes, and I was like, I'm staying for the whole show. It was so great. And even in the shuttles. I know people were worried about the shuttles. I have heard nothing but positive things on social media, like that it prevented traffic, and it was just super easy to get to and from the event center. So
I admit to being a little skeptical on that plan, because let's face it, we're all married to our cars and vehicles, and we want immediate convenience, immediate access. But this event actually proved that having an off-site parking program could work efficiently, and could be well received by the public. I think I heard somebody say the longest wait time was about 7 minutes. So it was very well coordinated. The staff and the vendors that provided that service did an excellent job.
They did.
And it really, really worked out well.
Yeah, I was happy with it too. So what can we expect coming up?
Going forward?
Going forward with Pioneer Park.
Going forward with Pioneer Park. As we stated, the entire park is not complete yet. We do anticipate having a waterfront restaurant. People will have a riverfront dining experience available to them. This concept is rather unique in that they'll have a traditional sit-down type restaurant, but they'll have a rooftop dining experience on top. And in addition to that, I think the proprietor plans to have 3 or 4 what I call kiosks, if you will, that can actually offer different quick food dining experiences. If somebody wants a slice of pizza or ice cream or something along along that line. They'll have 3 or 4 different little kiosks that they can vend from.
Oh, interesting.
From there. So you can have your regular traditional sit-down dining where you order your meal and sit down and enjoy it, or a quick on-the-go type meal where you pick it up at the window. There'll be picnic tables and umbrellas and shade. You can sit under, have a quick bite, and then get back over to the playground or something of that nature.
Oh, that's so cool. And what about, like I mentioned earlier, River Nights is coming back this October.
Correct.
Where exactly is that going to be situated? There's an over the water stage?
There, as part of the
area?
As part of the construction of Phase 1 of Pioneer Park, we did build what we're calling the overwater stage immediately west of the banyan tree. So the banyan tree serves as a backdrop to the east. It's a large area. There is electricity to that area, so we could have, the thought was we could have musical performances on that stage. Now, when we originally sat down to envision how the Pioneer Park was to be laid out, we created an event lawn.
Where the concert was.
Where the concert
Saturday,
was, yeah.
June 15th.
Now, on June 15th, the event lawn, it was actually part of the Botanical Garden event lawn, and the stage was kind of pushed back into that. But the event lawn, which is all contiguous to each other, it flows in, one lawn flows into the other. But what we envisioned was bringing our mobile soundstage into the park and setting up, and then people could congregate in front on the Pioneer Park event lawn and the Lookout Hill.
Yeah.
And then be able to watch a stage performance there.
Okay,
so we actually have 2 locations where we could provide a variety of programming and different programming. One could be larger, like the Whalers on where we had over 1,000 people in attendance, and others could be smaller venues on the overwater stage.
And I love the seating area.
The terraced seating.
Yep. And we were talking about, the Adirondack chairs were there. I love that. It was so beautiful. I didn't expect to see that. And that's where we had the ribbon cutting.
Right.
So y'all are in for a treat if you haven't already been there. It's a beautiful, beautiful park and playground.
It is. And it does hold a lot of different opportunities for experiences for a variety of different people. I mean, if you want to watch the sunset, what a great place to sit in an Adirondack chair under the shade of the banyan tree watching a sunset over the St. Lucie River, as well as your kids can play on the playground. There can be an event performance on the event lawn. Soon, we will also begin our development of the conservation area, which is that tract of land immediately to the south of the parking lot. And in that area, we will have connection points both from the parking lot as well as 2 connection points along the southern extension of the boardwalk.
Yep. Okay.
And in the interior of that space, we will have a network of trails that people can walk, be surrounded by natural vegetation and the environment, and then ultimately make their way to the river.
So awesome. I can't wait for that. Now, Pioneer Park, that was our 49th?
No.
40.
To be specific, I should say, Pioneer Park is actually our 43rd developed park.
Oh, okay.
We have number 44 soon to be given to us, turned over by the developer partner that we have with Riverland Paseo Park.
Right.
That's number 44. Now, what confuses a lot of people is we have well over 50 facilities and properties that we maintain or program. And when I say that, I mean things like the Port St. Lucie Community Center.
Yep.
It's one of our prime key facilities, but it's not a park.
Right.
So it's not in our parks list of numbered.
Minsky Gym.
Minsky Gym,
one.
same way.
Okay.
The Saints Golf Course. Not really a park.
It's a facility
but
that we own.
But it is a facility that we own, operate, and maintain. So, like I said, we have over 50 of those amenities, but true parks we're counting as 44 right now.
Okay, so 44. We're a big city. How does the city determine when we need another park, and B, where does it go?
That is a complex and sometimes complicated formula to try to figure out.
Okay, I'm not good at math, so.
First, we have to understand and realize that there are areas of the city where the city does not own property. So you can say we need a park in this place, and we would agree with you. We do need a park in that area of the city, but there's no publicly owned land to build one.
Okay.
So that means either we acquire it somehow, or we develop a park in as close proximity to that area as possible where we do have land.
Where we do own the land.
Correct.
Okay.
So,
that answers a lot of questions because we do get a lot on social media. There should be a park here. So that does answer several of the questions that I had regarding that. So that's the where. Is there a when?
When, I hate to be somewhat crass about this, but when depends on when there's money available. The city has many priorities, as you know.
Of course.
I'm not going to say parks and recreation is not a priority, but there are many other priorities, roads and our wonderful PD and many, many things that are also important to make a city of our size function and run as well as it does. So properly planning, properly budgeting, securing the funds necessary to build a park. And of course, as you well know, nothing is inexpensive or cheap nowadays.
Not now.
What we used to be able to build a park for maybe $2 million, $3 million is now well north of that figure. It just takes quite a bit of money to develop the park at the level that I think this city wants a park to be developed.
And needs. Yep.
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to go out and take a lot, clear it, sod it, and say, there's your park, use it as you will. It's quite another to build a pioneer park and to have the amenities on it that people are enjoying every day.
So is there a number that Parks is kind of targeting in regards to maybe our population? We're huge. We're big. We're close to 250,000 people. Is there a number that y'all are shooting for as far as how many parks we have?
There is no magic number.
Okay.
You have X amount of population, you need X amount of parks. Many years ago, through the National Recreation and Park Association, there used to be criteria where you need X number of amenities based on your population. That really has gone out the window, or certainly it's behind us today, because it's unfair and not realistic to basically categorize every community in this country as being the same.
That's fair. Yeah.
Many communities have different needs. So many communities are different. You have communities that have a heavy presence of water, whether it be an oceanside community or rivers running through it, or large access to large lakes. We do have the North Fork, but we are very limited in the number of public-owned properties that have access to the North Fork.
Okay.
So that's why Pioneer Park became so important to develop it the way that it was ultimately conceived.
Okay. Now we have Pioneer Park do you consider that just a neighborhood park? Because we do have regional parks, neighborhood parks, and then there's even like passive, or what my favorite word is, a pocket park.
Yep.
Which explain the differences between those, because I think maybe people might not understand
Sure. And there's even more categories.
Oh, I can't wait.
To answer your first question, I would say that the Pioneer Park is probably it's a destination. It's a special use park in that, it has a playground like many of our other parks do, but this playground is somewhat different in that it was imagined and constructed differently, and it has an interactive water feature in the middle of it, and that's unlike any park that we have in the city. So I would say it's a specialty park. And of course, that definition can take a variety of different parks and be classified as a specialty park. I'm thinking, for instance, some people would classify a golf course as a specialty park because
that would make sense.
You play golf on it and not much else. Others would say that the C-24 Canal Park boat ramp is a specialty park because while we do have pavilions where you could eat a picnic lunch there, its primary use is to launch and retrieve boats from the C-24 Canal.
Yep.
So, but in basic terms, what we categorize our parks, we'll start with the regional parks first, and that's a unique category for us because we've never had a regional park before. We're currently planning and initiated construction on 2 regional parks, one being out at Tradition with our development partners, Mattamy Homes, and the second one being up in the Torino area. So very soon, in the next couple of years, we're going to have 2 regional parks in our inventory. Now, those regional parks, typically, they are larger in size, both in acreage and in the amenities that they will ultimately offer. Now, I will say, because they are large projects, we are attacking these projects in phases. We will not get everything everybody conceived in the conceptual master planning for these parks, but we will develop them in phases.
Okay.
And so even when they come online in a couple of years, they won't be complete. There will be plenty of both time and space for them to develop further into the future. So those are community parks. And typically in a community park, you'll have many of the amenities you'll find in all the other parks, but you'll have full-time staff there. They'll be open later till 10 o'clock or so. They'll be able to host larger events, whether it be tournaments or other types.
Like sporting, like soccer, baseball?
Sporting events, exactly. Sometimes it might even be possible that we develop a partnership with the St. Lucie County School System and at some point in the future be able to have a venue where they will play their high school athletic games in the park. We're not there yet, but it does lend itself to the possibility of that happening at some point in the future. Then we go down to what we classify as our community parks. Traditionally and historically, a community park has always been our largest parks. And when I say largest, Whispering Pines Park is approximately 36 acres in size. But in that property, we have multiple sport fields and venues. We have baseball, we have football, we have a large playground, which we recently redid, renovated recently.
It's beautiful.
We also have tennis and pickleball. And then, of course, Whispering Pines Park is the home of Minsky Gym.
Yep.
So you can see that there's a multitude of different activities just within that one park. Community parks do have staff permanently assigned to them. They report to that park every day. They're open 7 days a week, usually, and they have lighted facilities. That's a critical difference. Our community parks have lighted nighttime facilities for the public to use. Then we go down to neighborhood parks. Traditionally, our neighborhood parks are somewhat smaller in acreage, and they can have many of the amenities that you'll find in a community park, but they won't be lighted. They're daylight use parks only. They close at dusk, and typically they won't have Parks and Rec staff stationed there.
Okay.
They're maintained with roving crews.
And that's a place like maybe Kiwanis Park?
Kiwanis Park, Rotary Park.
Okay.
The one anomaly in all of that is Winter Lakes Park, not only in size at 28 acres, but also we have staff stationed there to help maintain the park.
Okay.
But it doesn't, at this time, it does not have lighted amenities, so it does close at dusk.
Okay.
So it's still classified as a neighborhood
Will
park.
it eventually have lights?
It's a possibility at some point, but right now we don't have immediate plans to do so.
I mean, we have a lot of daylight here, so.
That's true.
Especially right now.
Right. And then, of course, we go into what I talked about, the specialty use parks. Those could be C-24 Canal. Some might even say Woodstork Trail is a kind of a specialty use park because while there's not any active recreation amenities, it's more passive in nature with the trail and the access to the big lake. Also, we have a a group that leases property from the city in the Treasure Coast Model Railroad Club.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's a club. They lease the building, and they are open on Saturday mornings for visitors to come in and view. But generally speaking, it's a club that has their set times and hours, and it's not really open to the public during the week.
Okay.
And then, of course, to top things off, we have our preserves and open green spaces. Preserves could be Mariposa Cane Slough Preserve.
Oh, yeah.
Some would even classify the botanical gardens as either a preserve or a special use facility. And then open space, green spaces like Apache Park. It's a city-owned lot. It's been cleared. It has an open space area where
Couple benches, maybe.
couple benches, exactly, where people could come in and they could throw a blanket on the ground under a tree and have a picnic, throw a frisbee.
Kick a ball around.
Kick a ball,
Okay.
exactly. So there's a variety of different categories that we offer for park space and for the public to utilize.
Okay, cool. I want to kind of jump into our playgrounds now.
Sure.
So a big question on social media, you and I have discussed this before, shade structures. It's hot here. Some of our playgrounds have man-made shade structures, like, say, Whispering Pines, and I think Woodland Trails has a really nice one. And then some parks have tons of beautiful trees.
Correct.
Like the 30 oak trees that we planted at Pioneer Park. How do you decide, which do all our, like, if our parks eventually will all have shade structures, like which are man-made, which are trees, and the beautiful landscaping?
Well, again, another difficult equation or formula to try to figure out.
More math.
More math. Is in the earliest planning stages of a park, you've identified your site. Then you need to go out and ground truth what is actually out there. Now, if it's like Woodland Trails Park, out of that 13-acre site, only about a third of that was in native pine flatwood habitat.
Okay.
The rest, 2/3 of that site, it was heavily infested with Brazilian pepper and other exotics.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep the Brazilian pepper.
No.
So we ended up basically clearing 2/3 of that 13-acre site. So I give that as an example. So we have to go out there and find out what plant species, vegetative communities are on site, and whether or not we can incorporate them into the ultimate design of a future park. Now, obviously, grand oak trees and mature hammock stands like out at Oak Hammock, we would never destroy those trees. We would incorporate them into the design. But there are some areas like Woodland Trails where it's heavily infested with exotics. The only thing to do was wipe them out and then come in and replant.
Okay.
That was very similar with the case with Pioneer Park. Pioneer Park, while they had a few scrubby oaks on site, they weren't in the right places where we needed to plant our amenities. So while we did eliminate several of the scrubby oaks, we did bring in 30 very mature, 30 and 40 plus foot oak trees. So in saying all this, ideally, natural shade provided by mature trees is our preference. We would love to do that. Unfortunately, in some cases, that's not possible. So in order to have shade when the park opens, we will have to design and envision man-made shade, which is in the form of shade structures, which could either be shade sails, which are the triangular shade systems that you see, or in the event of Woodland Trails, we actually created a structure that measured 60 by 60 and covered the entire playground.
Oh, yeah, now that I think of it, I was there for a nice event. Yeah, and it's kind of just a canopy.
It's a canopy.
Yeah,
it's a roof, basically a roof over the playground,
Oh, okay.
but it's a shade structure.
And again, it just depends on the park, where it is, like you
Exactly.
said, the vegetation and the trees that are already there. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. We have a ton of playgrounds online now, all abilities playgrounds.
Correct.
Jessica Clinton, obviously the first one that comes to mind. Why is it so important? Over the past couple of years, it's been super important and on the top of our list to make these parks for kids with all abilities.
Well,
why is that important?
It's important because everyone, whether you're a child or an adult, wants to feel valued. They want to feel that they are accepted. So it wasn't that long ago where in playground design we would say, yeah, we're inclusive of the disabled community because here, there's this structure that we put over here in the playground and people with disabilities can play here. Well, that structure may be able to accommodate the disabled in whatever disability they may have, but it's not inclusive. While the rest of the playground is over here and kids are playing,
I understand.
These kids are segregated.
Right.
And that sense of being a part of what's happening on that site, it failed to materialize. So, yeah, the Parks and Recs universe, we had our good intentions by saying, well, we're providing something to accommodate you, but it wasn't inclusive. So now the mindset is to design and construct elements within a playground where everybody can enjoy it. It's inclusive of everyone so that they do feel valued and wanted and they can play like, every child can play like every other child can play.
And I'm sure this has a lot to do with resident input, which brings me to the next topic of discussion is, I don't know how many times I post on social media, hey, there's a public meeting about so-and-so park. We need your input. I love that we do that, and we do that for almost every department that we have. Citizen Summit is a pure example of the outcome of all of this.
Yep.
How do you use this information to formulate a blueprint for, say, like a future park?
I'm going to say that I am very proud to be part of a city, of a department, working with my coworkers that are brave enough to say that we don't have all the answers to everybody's questions in terms of park design and development. So the easiest, most convenient, the best way to find out what people want in your community, keep in mind that this community is not like communities around us or communities across the country. We're unique in that we are who we are. So our residents have specific wants and desires, and also the recreation trends that we think as Parks and Recs professionals, what we think are the trends in recreation are constantly changing.
Yeah.
Just a few years ago, youth football, every kid from 5 to 16 was playing in some some type of youth football program. Well, with the NFL concussion issue and a lot of other things going on, the expense of youth football today, that trend isn't necessarily on the same track that it was once several years ago. Same thing with baseball. Baseball actually was seeing a decline prior to 2020, but surprisingly with the pandemic, it kind of reversed itself and is now on the upswing.
Okay.
One of the biggest draws on ESPN right now is the College World Series.
Yeah.
And women's softball, collegiate softball is huge on ESPN. So we see these changes. What is the fastest growing youth sports group in the city of Port St. Lucie today? Girls softball. They've grown their program tremendously.
Remarkably, yeah.
And so we have to recognize that recreation trends change over time. Sometimes they'll be on the rise, sometimes they'll take a decline, sometimes they'll reverse themselves and go back up. So it's having that knowledge as well as talking to our residents and finding out what they want. Consistently, when we do our public engagement meetings, put out our surveys, our community summits, consistently the number one asked for amenity in any park.
I know what you're going to say. Pickleball.
Actually, no.
Oh, darn. What is it?
Trails.
Oh, okay.
Walking,
It's totally not on my radar.
biking trails
Okay.
that consistently rank the number 1 or 2 requested amenity in a park. So now if you look at our park system, one of the many amenities that we have in our park is a trail network of some type. Could be a sidewalk type trail network that just navigates the park.
Through some trees.
Exactly. Or it could be a nature trail that such as what we'll have at the preserve at Pioneer Park, or a lot like Woodstock Trail,
Yep.
or the Mariposa Preserve. So surprisingly, trails is the number 1 requested amenity in a park. Now, also we need to be careful in planning out a park that we also engage not only the general public at large, but we also engage our specific users, our recognized user groups, our youth sports leagues,
Right.
whether they be soccer, football, baseball, and we engage them. Of course, they're always going to say, we need more.
Yeah.
So we have to balance that request of, do we really need more, for instance, baseball fields, and not have as many trails, or do we need to focus on trails and some of the lesser requests, but they're still popular, i.e. pickleball?
Yeah.
We all know the growth of the pickleball. And, we converted in the last year, we converted 8 tennis courts into 24 pickleball courts at Whispering Pines Park. Those things are used so heavily,
Yep.
they're not enough. We're recently just putting the finishing touches on. We converted a single tennis court to 2 pickleball courts at Sportsman's Park.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, we
Okay.
literally just putting the final touches on it right now, and that still leaves a tennis court, but it now offers 2 pickleball courts. So we're not dismissing or excluding or forgetting about the tennis community. They're still important. They still need places to play.
course.
But we also look at a tennis court bank of 2 courts and see where it wasn't that heavily used. Not saying it wasn't used, but it wasn't used as heavily. We feel that the tennis play at Sportsman's, and I'm not talking about the other parks, but
Yeah.
solely at Sportsman's, can be accommodated with 1 tennis court, and by providing 2 pickleball courts, maybe we can alleviate the use pressures at Whispering Pines a little bit.
Sure.
What we found is that in pickleball, and it's a self-policing group, they rate themselves, beginners, intermediate,
Yeah.
advanced, and the advanced players don't necessarily want to play against the beginners, and the beginners are somewhat shy against playing the more advanced players. So by having these 2 courts separated and away from Whispering Pines, maybe the beginners can go out and learn the game,
Practice,
not be
yep.
as pressured, and practice and learn the game, and then they could go over and get in the pool for pickup play at Whispering Pines.
That's a great idea. I love that. Talk about some improvements that are coming to a few parks. And I don't know why I wrote this in my notes, but OL Peacock comes to mind. It's we had one of the nice meetings out there. There's a huge lake, but there's not much else. So I know you guys have a lot going on over there.
What we have planned, we've designed, and we have actually received a grant in the form of a FRDAP grant, Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program
Okay.
grant, to make some improvements at OL Peacock. And under Phase 1, we'll have a circular sidewalk network on the property so that people can walk. There'll be a small playground, restrooms. Future improvements are likely to include a large pavilion, several small single-family pavilions so you can picnic, access to fishing in the lake off the shore,
Oh, nice.
a overwater boardwalk structure of some type that would
Okay.
allow either fishing or as a connection, because ultimately that 100-acre lake that's out there, it's a beautiful,
It
beautiful
is.
lake.
Yeah.
There's a berm that goes around the entire lake, and our goal is to make that a trail so you can walk that
Awesome.
entire trail. And in one area, in one corner, there's a wetland area that we would like to not adversely impact that wetland, but build a boardwalk over the top of it so that people can walk and not impact the wetland by walking through it.
Oh, lovely. I love that. And I love that park too. And most of our parks are like this. People on that street, I guess it's Dreyfus, they can open their door and there's a park there.
Yep.
I love that about our parks because that's the goal, is to ultimately have parks within like a 10-minute walk from someone's house.
You've done your homework.
I did. No math, but I did my homework.
Did the homework. You're absolutely right, Maureen. The national 10-minute walk program to a park was instituted by the Trust for Public Lands nationwide, and in theory, their goal is to have a very nice park or public green space within 10 minutes. 10-minute walk of every person in the country. Now, of course, that's a grand design in theory. It's not real practical because I'm sure there's places out in the middle of Nevada in the desert where you don't have a 10-minute walk from
No.
somebody living.
And who wants to walk when it's that hot?
But generally speaking, it's a grand goal to have. Now, again, going back to what we talked about earlier today, is sometimes we don't have the properties located geographically that can afford that. But what we try to do, we've kind of stretched that from 10 minutes to about 15.
Okay.
If we can be in a 15 to 20-minute walk of a park or bike, that's what we're aiming to achieve at some point in the future. We'll get there. We won't get there today or tomorrow, but at some point in the future, we will develop our park system so that the vast majority of our residents are within a decent 15-minute walk to a park.
Good, that's awesome. Families just have dinner, go out at night, the summertime, walk to a park. I think it's
walking
lovely.
is part of that experience.
Yep.
Walking to and from.
That's great. I love it. Big parks are coming online. We kind of already talked about it a little bit, but there's been a huge need. I know residents have been, the BMX side.
Yep.
Talk about what we expect to see at like Tradition and Torino. But also let's touch on Riverland Paseo too, which is going to have a grand opening
very, very soon.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll start with Paseo Neighborhood Park. And in development, the park is developed in coordination and in conjunction, in partnership with GL Homes, or the Riverland community. And when they open the park, we will have 2 lighted multi-purpose soccer fields. And when I say soccer, I mean rectangular fields that could be used for soccer, football, rugby, lacrosse, any of those things.
Few sports, okay.
Yep. But they will be lighted, so for nighttime use. And we will also have a softball field, a 300-foot dimensioned outfield softball field.
Awesome.
So that can accommodate any of the adult private recreation leagues in the various communities out there, or it can accommodate a public softball league, maybe where we have our public recreation leagues at Sand Hill Crane today. Maybe we have a West Side edition and be able to program that, as well as it could be rented on a Sunday afternoon by a church for a kickball game or anything of that nature.
Cool.
In addition to the 3 fields, lighted fields, we have a 3-compound dog park that will accommodate a lot of puppies to
Yay, dogs are the best. I'm glad we're having another dog park.
To run around. Yep.
Good.
Of course, we'll have a restroom building and a concession stand. The concession stand is not a concession stand that's open full time. It will be available for groups that want to rent the fields,
the games and stuff,
and have games, and then they can also rent the concession stand and operate out of there.
And is there? I think there is flag football for girls. I think CJ, they're actually having a league there.
Exactly.
We're promoting that right now. So anybody who has girls who want to play flag football, I believe this summer.
They will be playing on one of the 2 multi-purpose fields out there.
Awesome.
Yep.
Now let's do the big ones.
The big ones. Well, we've talked briefly about Tradition Regional and Torino Regional. Tradition Regional is being developed in conjunction with our other development partner, Madame E. Homes.
Yep.
Phase 1, and I want to stress that,
Phases, people, phases.
Phase 1 of this development will include a baseball quad. By that I mean 4 fields in a wheel. It'll all be synthetic turf, which is something new for us.
Okay.
We don't have we have synthetic turf on our playgrounds. We don't have any synthetic turf on our athletic fields.
Why? I mean, why the switch to the artificial?
A lot of it is tradition. We've always used natural turf for our playgrounds, but this was something unique. And when the Tradition Regional Park was originally envisioned, unfortunately, the original concept had 2 wheels for a total of 8 baseball fields.
Okay.
And the thought was to bring in larger tournaments and be able to play. And in using synthetic turf, you can turn fields over quickly.
I get it.
And you can recover quickly from inclement weather.
Okay.
So, but we do have a field of 1 wheel of 4 fields. We're still sticking with the synthetic turf. Then we will also construct a multi-purpose soccer/football field, again in synthetic turf. All of those, the 4 fields, baseball, and the 1 lighted multi-purpose field will be lit for nighttime use. In addition to that, we are constructing 3 additional rectangular fields. Those will be used for practices and daylight use only.
Okay.
They will not be lit at this time. It certainly lends itself to being lit at some future date, but under this phase, they will not be lit. And I'm also very excited to say that while part of the overall Tradition Regional Park project, it's an element that is being designed and administered by Parks and Rec staff, and that is our new BMX all-wheel inclusive track. And that's going to be an amazing facility. So it'll be a regular BMX style track with the drop-in hill and the various jumps.
Yeah.
I'm not a BMX expert, so I don't know
Neither
the
am
specifics, but it's an amazing track. In addition, when it's not being used either for training or competition, the general public will be allowed to go in and use skates, skateboards, scooters on the surface that will allow
The
them.
hard surface.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's why we say it's all inclusive.
That'll be awesome. Now let's touch on Torino just for a bit, because I know that's kind of a little bit down the line.
Well, that's actually appearing tonight at tonight's meeting.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. That is actually appearing on tonight's meeting for council approval. Again, phase 1. We do have an overall master plan that we've engaged some planning consultants to come up with, but for tonight, they're going to discuss and consider our phase 1 recommendations, and that essentially is going to be much more passive in nature in terms of where the amenities are located. If the public is familiar with the Torino properties, it's located in the Torino area, and it's divided by a major drainage canal. The properties are divided by a major drainage canal. So we're going to develop those properties north of the canal.
Okay.
And by that, when I say develop, we're going to have trails, the number 1 requested item. We're also going to have a skate park, a true skate park, which was an amenity that was originally featured in our adventure park, but that kind of got waylaid a little bit. But we're going to take that amenity out of the adventure park and put it at Torino. And then we will have a playground, some other sports amenities, possibly including volleyball, pickleball, a multi-purpose pavilion, and we're also going to be somewhat innovative and cooperative. We all know, and the residents of Torino know very, very well, of the parking issues located along Torino during the school year.
Yep.
Morning and afternoon, parents come to pick their kids up, waiting for them at the bus stop, and they crowd the right-of-ways. That certainly isn't isn't ideal, not only from a traffic standpoint, from a policing standpoint, from a public safety standpoint. So what we're going to do is work with the school district, and we're going to create an area within the park where buses can come in, pick up and unload children in that bus drop-off or pickup area. Parents can also wait there to pick up their children. And when it's not being used in that instance, it'll be used as a trailhead for people that want to come park and access the trail network throughout the park.
That's a great idea.
So hopefully we're accomplishing, we're solving several problems.
Solving a problem, yeah.
Several problems with one amenity.
Okay, good.
So we're looking very forward to that.
This might be a stupid question to ask an acting director. Do you have a favorite park at Port St. Lucie?
You know,
all of them. No, come on, give me one.
You're exactly right. I'm going to say there are parks that are very, very special to me personally. I'm going to say that our Veterans Memorial Park is very near and dear to my heart. Obviously for the reasons why we have it, to honor our military veterans and for those that didn't come home. I've been very fortunate and blessed to be part of the development, design, and construction of several of the memorials in that park, the most recent being the Iraq-Afghanistan Memorial. So that park holds a special place in my park. But I can say the same for Woodland Trails Neighborhood Park.
Yeah.
That was an area of the city that was void of any parks. Those folks didn't have a park in
the southwest part.
Southwest area of the city since the city was incorporated. And several years ago, it became money became available through the recycling program, and I was able to join a team that was able to conceive, plan, and develop that park. And knowing how popular that park is today, the neighborhood they just love that park.
Yeah.
And what we were able to do, again, we were able to save the pine flatwoods, take out all the exotics, and I hate pepper trees, just so you know. So,
really, Brad? I can't tell.
So that was, on a personal note, that was very satisfying to eradicate all those pepper trees.
He's out there with the machete himself.
Oh, my goodness. But then we were able to incorporate, and in partnership with our Public Works Department, we used their template for right-of-way plantings and was able to put a trail in around the entire perimeter of the park and then heavily landscape it using the Public Works Department's template for landscaping. So all those things, we turned what was going to be carved out a 5-acre piece of a 13-acre parcel and develop it, and we ended up clearing it all and developing it all as a
and using all of it.
Yep. So that's special. In addition, I've got to say, come on, Pioneer Park.
I mean, that should be top of everyone's list in parks.
What went into that, to the conceptual design, to the planning, to laying out the amenities, the proposed amenities, working in the field and working with a tremendous team from the CRA, our own staff, architects, engineers, landscape architects, the contractor. It was an amazing, I say that now, when a week ago I was pulling my hair out, but I say that now that it truly was an amazing experience to be able to be a part of that team and to develop and to deliver, most importantly, deliver that level of park to our citizens, because I've been out there, we've been open, 9 days now, and every day it's been slammed.
Jam-packed.
So it's been jam-packed, yep.
I have to tell you, a friend of mine texted me a couple days after the grand opening, in all caps, "Maureen, this park is amazing. It's like a theme park."
Exactly.
That's what she said. And I was like, wow, that's a great way to describe Pioneer Park.
Well, we've used the word destination.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, they lose sight of the significance of that word. But we have actually had reports, can't verify that they're true, I can only tell you that it's been relayed to us, that people have come up from West Palm Beach just for Pioneer Park, just in the first week, just in the first 9 days. So it truly has become the destination that we as a city, as both our city elected officials, our city leadership, and our city departments that participated in that project. And by departments, I mean utilities was a part, public works was a part, CRA, planning and zoning, building department, legal department. I mean,
everyone,
everybody,
communications,
especially communications. But everybody played a part, and I think we've delivered on that destination playground.
I agree. Before we get into our 10 questions, you kind of just answered this. Why is it so important for us to have these open spaces, playgrounds, parks in Port St. Lucie?
I'm going to share with you very briefly 11 reasons why parks are important.
Whoa, okay. Start the timer. No.
Start the timer. The first one is community revitalization. When we go in and redevelop a park, we've seen that when we redevelop playgrounds, the surrounding areas improve. People take pride in their neighborhood, and they want to take pride in that park. Woodland Trails is a great example of a park that the neighborhood took ownership of that park immediately, policed it for litter, made sure nothing untowards or unsavory activities were taking place. They would report it. So community revitalization is a big one. Economic development. Think about it, especially when you're talking about regional parks that have large recreational amenities. When we bring in tournaments, and whether it's us or a private tournament that comes in, people come in from out of the area, sometimes even out of state, to play in these large tournaments. That's an economic driver for the community. People have to stay in hotels. They have to eat in restaurants. They buy gas.
Yep.
They go to the various retail stores and buy things that they forgot at home.
Shin guards.
Exactly.
Something.
Exactly. So parks can be an economic driver, so they're important for that aspect. Creating safer neighborhoods. We've already touched on that. A lot of times when we propose a park, one of the first fears that we have to diminish or put people at ease at is parks are going to create crime. Well, parks don't create crime. It's people that come into parks that do things that are unauthorized, that are illegal. But we have an amazing police department, and we have a parks police officers unit that actively patrols and enforces all of the rules and regulations of our parks inside of our parks. So our parks are very, very safe.
They are.
So that's why I say it does create safer neighborhoods. They're places for community engagement. People that would just want to socialize with people. Again, coming out of this pandemic, 2.5, 3 years of people being isolated. One of the things that was the most popular during the pandemic was people getting outside in parks and getting outside. Green infrastructure is another important component, or reasons why parks are important. And when I say green infrastructure, it's having parks and public green spaces throughout a city that are linked to each other, so that you can spend hours going from place to place, not on a heavily trafficked road or hearing the buzz of traffic going around you. It's a place of solitude and quiet that you can go to. So those are important. Obviously, to help children. And when I say children, I'm going to include just people. In general, to learn and socialize. People need that. Kids need that. They need to how to interact with others, get along with others. We all remember our days as kids on a playground. It wasn't always fun. There was that schoolyard bully. But we had to figure out how to deal with that person, right? So it is a place where kids can grow socially and emotionally. Promote a healthy lifestyle. Obviously, getting out, walking the sidewalk. Our fitness stations that we have in many of our parks, heavily used. And it's funny, you go out in the middle of summer, in the middle of the day, the hottest part of the day, you'll still see people, not a lot, but you'll still see people utilizing these fitness stations. So it promotes a healthy lifestyle. We promote the arts and cultural programs. We have our historic homes at Pioneer Park. One has recently been, the lodge has recently been renovated. It's now home to the Port St. Lucie Historical Society. They'll have a small museum and be able to display local artifacts from the city's history. Also, preserving historic places and structures. Now, again, the city isn't that old. We're only 63 years old. Don't have a lot of historic structures, but in many cities and towns that do around the country, it's important that parks, those types of facilities can find a home in parks and public spaces. Tourism, we already touched on it a little bit with bringing in
West Palm Beach people, yeah.
Exactly. Not only that, but the people that come in to not only play in our parks, but have tournaments and see cultural performances, maybe at the Mid-Florida Event Center. It promotes tourism. Smart growth. It's important that as a city, we take that 10,000 look view and see how these areas are aligned and located. And in a city of 120 geographic square miles, that is a major undertaking to make sure you have the right facilities, the right amenities, and the right locations. And there's much, much more. We haven't even touched on the obvious facts about, getting kids outside.
Off their games, off the TV.
Getting away from all the electronic devices. And when I'm going to say people in general, there's a lot of adults that spend far too much time either in front of the TV or on the computer. So getting them outside and reconnecting with nature, it's a major, major benefit, and it's a major reason why parks are important.
It starts in parks, everyone.
It starts in parks.
I love that saying. I add that to things all the time. Brad, thank you so much for coming in.
It's been a pleasure.
Before we leave you, it has. And you were like a little skeptical about coming on. And
only because of the time.
And
you know what? Spending time with you is better than spending the time behind my desk.
He said, after Pioneer Park. Okay, you got it. So we're going to go over our 10 questions. I see you have some answers, so I can't wait to hear it.
I'm going to try to do it fast track without looking.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Favorite food?
Anything barbecue.
Nice. Favorite movie?
Animal House, 1978.
Oh my God, I love it. Favorite hobby? Oh, wait, he has more.
I have one more. A river runs through it.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's nice. Favorite hobby?
Whitewater rafting and camping.
Oh, where?
Anywhere? Anywhere where there's whitewater, but primarily in the southeast.
Okay, nice. Favorite singer or band?
Eagles. 20 concerts in person.
You like the Eagles?
I tend to gravitate toward the Eagles. Yeah.
Favorite book?
A Land Remembered by Patrick D. Smith.
I believe Jen Davis may have said that during hers as well. Okay.
It is an amazing book for anybody out there listening. Go to the library, rent it. It will give you an amazing description in your mind as you read it of the early pioneer state of Florida. And it's just a great, great read.
I told her I would read it. Now I have 2 recommendations. Favorite holiday?
Christmas, because of my kids and grandkids.
Okay. Favorite place to visit?
Any place with mountains and whitewater. Colorado we went to last year. Alaska we went to 2 years ago. So
I agree. I like the mountains.
Yep.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
All right. Favorite TV show?
Probably Seinfeld and The Office.
Okay. And your favorite color?
Orange and blue, of course. Go Gators.
Oh, okay. I was like, that has to be for a reason. Brad, again, thank you so much. I know you're so busy. I'm so happy you got to come in here finally.
I am too.
After a year, we've been podcasting for a year. But again, thank you. You guys do amazing work over in parks.
Thank you. It is not without the support of every city department and all the staff, as well as our, as I said, the leadership of this city and our elected officials. Together we make a great team and we can deliver great things.
We sure do. Thanks so much, Brad. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool.